we there? Yep, that looks good to me. You're hearing my voice before you see me. Let's go to live. Well, hello there, it's Saturday night and it's me here with you. We're live on YouTube and yeah, happy to be here. I was a bit bored and I thought, what shall I do, you know? I thought, why not go live for a little bit, see what happens. I'm just going to change the track because I'm not... There we go. There we go. So, yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen tonight or how it's going to pan out or whatever. I've set things up a little differently so I can keep an eye on Streamlabs in front of me so I don't have to keep looking to the left. Obviously, I've got my chat up for YouTube, so don't need that. So yeah, you know, I've made sure that everything is there, set up, and this is as much yours as mine, so please do interact. I have mentioned everything on Blue Sky, on Instagram and on TikTok. For the first time I've mentioned this on TikTok. I don't really get on there much these days. I really would like to do more, but I think things have been a bit different since I left the other platform and moved over to Blue Sky. As I've said, I'm a lot happier over there, a lot happier. It really does make a big difference to be on a platform that actually does feel like what the other platform used to feel like. So yeah, and of course got rid of the beard this week. Well, it's stubble now, it's still there, the beard, but it's short. It's short. This is the thing. I come on with a whim. I come on an absolute whim, you know, online live, and as I said, you never know what's going to happen. I'm going to take these headphones off because or I'm at least going to sit them so I can hear the music. No, going to have to keep them on. But anyway, as I was saying, you know, I come on here with an absolute whim. You know, I don't plan anything. I'm not one of these live streamers that has a schedule or a agenda to follow. I'm not one of those people. I basically just come on because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy talking and interacting with other people. That's what makes it such a big difference to me. You know, it really does. And of course, I've got the music because there are points in time and I do have long pauses where I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say. You know, I'm human. I am a human being and I will falter. I'm not perfect, I don't pretend to be. That's the truth, you know. Why pretend to be perfect? You know, I've got my flaws. I make mistakes. I am perfectly human. And that's okay. That is absolutely okay. So yeah, this is as much your live stream as it is my live stream. You know, please interact. Join in the chat, say hi. You know, and we'll see where this takes us. It could just end up being a ramble. It could be me just speaking my mind, who knows? It's interactive, that's the point. Sometimes you just gotta stop and breathe. Sometimes you just gotta. You just gotta stop and think. You just gotta. Oh, excuse me. No, you know, sometimes these don't always go according to plan, mainly because, as I said, I don't have a plan. I wing it. If there's one thing I seem to be good at, is winging it. Doesn't always work, isn't always the best way of doing things, but sometimes, under certain circumstances, winging it does work. And whilst it doesn't always feel like the best way of doing a live stream, it kind of... Hello, what have I done? Okay, that's okay, I hit the wrong button. Excuse me. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, you know, so to a degree, I just make it up as I go along. Really, you know, there's no other way of saying it. So, if I look like I'm struggling to think of something to say, it's probably because I am struggling to think of something to say. And you might think to yourself, well, why do it? Why do it that way? Why not? You never know what's going to happen. You never know what might happen. Regardless of the outcome, as long as it's something, you know, I don't... What was it Maximus would say? There is something Maximus would say, but I've forgotten what it is. Which is ironic because I wrote it. But I don't really want to go trawling through files and folders on my computer to find it. But suffice to say, at some point on Blue Sky or Instagram or TikTok in the stories, I will probably quote it. Let me know if you can hear the music or not, because I can adjust the volume. I can adjust it slightly. If it's too loud, let me know, because I can lower it as well. But as I say, it's a gap filler. It sort of plugs the gaps. Instead of there being silence, there's something to actually keep the momentum going. But yeah, as I say, hello, this is me. If you're here for the first time, welcome. And, you know, pretty much what you see is what you get. You know, I am who I am. And that's the honest... I'm going to sit back a bit and relax. I don't know why, but I always feel a bit tense when I do these. Again, people might say, well, if you feel like that, why do you do these? You know. But at the end of the day, why not? I've got the capabilities, I've got the computer, I've got the camera, I've got the social media to do it. Why not? Why not? And I can be a bit of a wrangler if I put my mind to it. I probably haven't really said much, have I? I've probably kind of repeated myself quite a bit, and I apologise for that. But again, that's just the way things are, really. But in all honest truth, this might not even last long. I don't even know if we'll make it through to an hour. But we'll see what happens. And, but let me be honest, what you get with me is I can't be anyone else but myself. I seriously can't be anyone but myself unless it's scripted or unless it's Maximus. Because, my characters are I won't say they're a projection of me, but they are a part of me. They are an extension of me, a lot of them. And I think it's allowed me to sort of put a lot of my sort of thoughts and things into them rather than in other avenues. As I say, I've been writing this novel for quite some time. I'm up to chapter 49, and I'm on the 592nd page, which I have yet to write, or at least yet to start writing anyway. We're finally getting into the city of Bloodspire, which is very exciting because it's a place that in my YouTube project we've never even visited before. In fact, I'm not sure if it's ever been actually mentioned. I know Drakenberg has actually been mentioned. I don't think Cold Harbour has. Drakenberg has been mentioned, but not as Drakenberg. I think I just called it the Firelands back then when it first appeared. But it's the realm of the dragons, so that's evolved. No, I think I'm going to venture to the realm of Nithros, the continent of Nithros, in a future story. So, although I think I have mentioned Nithros. I think I've mentioned all the continents, all 7 continents to a degree in the story, because Monarcha is the smallest of the 8 continents of Arenthia. That's the planet. The planet actually has a name now. After 4 years, the planet that it's all set on actually has a name. And, it's very much... I've put so much into it, so much of myself into it as well. That makes a huge difference. And it's evolved so much. It really has. I guess it's just something I'm really passionate about, to be honest. You will hear me obviously talk about it a lot on social media and things, but why not? Why not? Because when you built up 4 years worth of source material for this one idea, it's almost impossible to think about how much just gotta do something very quickly. There we go. There we go, sorted. That's not what I thought it was. Okay. It was just something I thought I'd try. But, yeah, so, 4 years worth of ideas. I mean, I've lost count how many characters I've come up with now. And that's just for myself. I've voiced a whole list of characters. Some one-off, some recurring. Maximus is definitely a recurring character, but there's definitely some singular characters as well who won't appear again, but may also appear in the future. I haven't decided yet. It all depends on how my ideas progress. I mean, obviously, as you will know, if you follow me on YouTube, you haven't really seen anything new from me since. So I can open up my YouTube thing very quickly. The last thing the last big thing I did was a month ago, which was the last hurrah of the caravan, which was the last big collaboration I did. I don't know if I'll continue with collaborations as big as that. It might be small scale ones with a few people involved rather than many people. They became very difficult to manage and also very difficult to find people interested in what I was doing, what I was creating. But I have a good connection with a lot of very, very good people who are kind enough to help me out. And I appreciate it really much. I really do, because they understand what I want to create, what I want to achieve, and the fact that they've embraced it means so much to me, because it brings my world to life. And I say 4 years worth of source materials that I've created myself with their help really has boosted the world. As I say, there are now 8 continents on this entire planet that I've created. There's civilizations, there's flora, fauna, cities, towns, villages, everything you could imagine. And I mean, obviously, by turning my hand to writing, I mean, when I first started in 2020, this idea in 2020, a lot of people just said, "Why don't you just write a novel? Don't do it as YouTube. Just turn it into a novel." Well, the thing is, back then, I didn't have any idea of the direction I wanted to go. I didn't have any idea of where I wanted to take the characters. I mean, Maximus didn't even exist in 2020. He didn't come along until about 2022. So he really sort of, he sort of came about out of necessity, really. I just wanted a character that I could loosely base upon myself, and he kind of became that character, and except he's got a Bristolian accent. I don't have a Bristolian accent, but I can do a Bristolian accent. But in the end, it sort of evolved, and now 2024, I have so much material that I can do sort of behind the scenes videos. I can do sort of origin story videos. I can do. Well, I've got so much content now that I was literally able to start writing the Maximite Guild, which is of course subtitled A Lord of War and Heartache Tale. There's also the sort of unedited, well, it's finished, but it probably needs a lot of editing, and a completely unpublished novella, The Tales of Ilana, or Tale of Ilana, which again is another Lord of War and Heartache tale. But I think, in all honesty, the novel, which I'm up to 592 pages, I'm nearly at 600 pages, has been the more interesting to write, because I've really had to think about the direction I want to go, how I want to introduce the concepts. There's a lot of things in it that were never even mentioned in the YouTube project. Obviously, certain places have been mentioned, like City of Trigon, Cordavia, Gebel Ra, Kali, Garalos. I mean, Garalos played a big role in the YouTube project, and of course Ondar City as well, which is the primary city of the Ondarian monarchy. So it's the throne city. And of course we'll delve into a bit of the history as well of the world in the novel as well. So I obviously don't want to give too much away, because if it ever really gets off the ground, I doubt it will, to be honest with you, but it's just such a fun thing to be doing. I'm really enjoying it, because I've had to think the whole way, do I want to throw in curveballs? And there are one or two curveballs. I have thrown in a few curveballs, things that you wouldn't have seen coming. I'm not giving any spoilers, of course. But you've got to keep the reader on their toes. One thing is, it is written in the first person, so it is being told, the lead character is the person telling the story, so it's told from their perspective, rather than it being from a third person perspective, which means you are literally thrown headlong into the action from their perspective, which makes it even more interesting, because I've sort of had to put myself into the position of this particular character, which again I won't give too much away about, but they've been very interesting to write for. And it's not Maximus. It is not Maximus. He's actually a supporting character, which is actually easier to do, because he's actually surprisingly complex as a character. It would be fine to do a story involving him directly as the protagonist, but he has always, I think he's easier to write as a script. He's an easier to script for character, because I think his personality requires a bit more voice acting, rather than, mean, don't get me wrong, he is how he is in the novel as well, but he is a lot more enjoyable to script and voice, I have to admit. I do enjoy bringing him to life because he's such a deep, rich. I mean, he is a bit of a rogue. He's a bit of a villain. He's, you know, he's involved with. I mean, the Maximind Guild itself is a den of, basically a den of thieves and cutthroats and things, but organised, same as the Shadow Corps in the Desert Realm. They're sort of like allied, sort of criminal underworld organisations in a medieval fantasy steampunk setting. I am very much into steampunk, so yeah, I kind of came into steampunk purely by accident around, I want to say about 2014, I think. I can't remember how I discovered it, but it really appealed to me, and it still does to this day. But I think I really came across it purely by accident, and it just fascinated me because I've always been interested in sort of industrial heritage, you know, steam locomotives, sort of Victorian engineering, you know, the ironworks at Ironbridge Gorge in Shropshire, anything like that fascinates me. And yeah, I think I discovered it through the music of Professor Elemental, and I just thought, what is this? Why does it, you know? And I read up on steampunk. You know, I've got steampunk novels. I've got books on steampunk in my bookcase behind me, and it just became another thing. It became another interest. You know, I mean, I've got my Warhammer Fantasy Battles. I should say Warhammer the Old World. I've got my Warhammer 40k. I've got my Lego. I've got my Funko Pop figurines, things like that, and my video games as well. I very much enjoy video games. I'm a Fallout player. I have cosplayed as the courier from Fallout New Vegas. I do have a Pip-Boy. It's the Fallout 76 Pip-Boy, but you know, it fits the character. It fits the character that I portray. And obviously I've got my comic book collection, and other bits like that. Oh, excuse me. I don't know why I've got this track. What track is this? I'm gonna change up the playlist. Quickly. So, yeah, you know, I kind of just thought I'd change up the playlist a bit and have something a bit more akin to my project, really. Feels a bit more fitting to have this more dramatic music. You wouldn't think it's these headphones, it makes Makes my hair stand up on end. But you know, I've been working on various ideas, concepts since I was a teenager. Really, when I was part of a youth club in my teenage years, I started script writing back then, and I wrote a sort of sci-fi script, and I still have a copy on my laptop. It was that bad. It really was that bad. Yeah, I was a terrible script writer terrible writer as a teenager. You know, it was awful. I mean, when I look back at it now, I didn't have half the idea of what I have now. Mainly because, obviously, the story I wrote at the time was kind of like some random anti-Star Wars story. I guess it was sort of inspired by Star Wars, but it ended with but yeah, it never got made by the youth club. Nah. But if you look at my more modern content on YouTube, you will see that I have definitely, if I were to adapt that original script from my teenage years, I'd probably keep it as it is so people could see how awful it really is. I would probably do the voices myself, because I don't think I would want anyone to endure the sort of rubbish that I wrote back then. Mind you, the script I wrote a bit later on was an improvement, not by much, but it was definitely an improvement. Although the sci-fi script that was rubbish, I did kind of revisit early on in my YouTube channel, and the videos are still available to watch. They are still public on my channel. It's just that I went from sci-fi to fantasy because fantasy is a much easier genre to write for. With sci-fi, you're very much tied by the rules and conventions of the genre, meaning you can be very limited, whereas with the genre of sort of fantasy, it's very much a anything goes sort of genre. You know, you can include sci-fi, you can include anything really that you're not tied by certain constraints or rules. That's what I like about writing, sort of, and the fact that I can throw in steampunk as well, and it still fits into the whole aesthetic of what I'm creating. Really makes a huge amount of difference. It really does. And it's just so much fun. It really is. I mean, I think it is a form of escape for me. It is a form of escape from reality. I can take myself out of the real world for an hour or two and just write, and um, when I'm sort of bringing them to life, I'm not me. I'm the characters, and it just, yeah, it's therapeutic really to be able to, you know, bring characters like Maximus, Boris, Lord Volkov, Trajan, Vespasian, Rafik, Corvus, Orion, you know, all those characters and so many more to life. It's like sort of taking all your sort of frustrations and writing them into words, and you know, you can make Maximus shout at someone, you can have, you know, Lord Volkov sort of deal with a disobedient servant, as it were, you know, without sort of, you know, doing it in character. It's surprisingly sort of beneficial, and it was just something I did during lockdown, really, voice acting and all that. I sort of got into it because, you know, I couldn't go anywhere, and I thought, well, if I can't go outside, why not bring the outside to me? Why not create an entire world? And it kind of evolved from there, really. But yeah, I mean, granted, there's and of course there's the other concepts this world has as well. You know, if you're not familiar with the projects, I do recommend having a look at the playlists, because they will give so much about the story, as it were. I need to do some more character introduction videos. I haven't done that yet. I've done one for Lord Volkov. I did an entire video about the Academy, but I didn't really do anything else regarding any other concept of the world. I really ought to. I should do. It would make sense, so that people can get a bigger picture of what they're seeing and hearing. Because obviously I have the standard narration voice as well. I do have a standardised narration voice, except when it's the Cleo and Trajan stories. The voice performer who voices Cleo, Gwyn, dear friend Gwyn, she does the narration for them. Sorry, that's my chair. But majority of, 99.9% of the time, it is me doing narration. And I use Audacity to change my voice for a lot of my characters, because I can't actually get my voice that low. It's impossible to get it as low as, for example, Lord Volkov or even Maximus, because their voices are ridiculously low. This is probably about as low as my voice goes, really, and this is my natural voice anyway. So it sort of swings and roundabouts. Yeah. It's okay, my computer's giving me messages, random messages. Sorry about that. Where was I? Oh yes, so it's a lot of adaptation and editing. I love editing. A lot of YouTubers I know who create videos and audio, according to them, the worst part of making content for YouTube is editing. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the whole process from start to finish. The writing, the recording, the editing, the post-production, because I do the sound effects and the visual effects and everything, and I even all my projects have opening and closing title sequences as well, of my own. Well, not my own creation. I use stock footage. I actually use Filmora Wondershare Filmora 14 as my editor. I came in using it as Wondershare Filmora 10, but it's now version 14 and it is fantastic. I did try using DaVinci, which is another editing software, but I found it, personally for me, I know a lot of content creators on YouTube swear by it, but I found it very heavy going, very slow, very clunky, and I just wanted something that would allow me to edit and pretty much create what I wanted to create, and Filmora does it for me. This is no way sponsored. I mean, I don't have, sponsorship or anything like that. It's just me making a recommendation, really. Yes, so it all sort of hang on, I've got some lights from under here. Let's see if that creates. There you go. I don't think it's going to create much difference, but it might improve the light. Let me bring that forward without tipping that over. Whether or not that actually helps, I don't know. But I work with what I have, and it's the software that I use. I'm very happy with. I've been using it for quite a while now, and it really does make a big difference. It really does. And Audacity is free. I do have a subscription to an annual subscription to Wondershare Filmora. Well, I bought it. And it's I'm just gonna remind people that I am alive. So bear with. There we go. Just put a reminder on Blue Sky. As I say, I know I've mentioned that I've been on Blue Sky now for nearly 2 months, and it's the best thing I've done. Best thing I've done in a long time. Moving over to that platform really made a huge difference. I'm so much happier over there, and I know I said this earlier, but I'm serious. My stress levels are lower, my anxiety is lower, my emotional well-being is improved, all because I left the other platform. And I make no pretenses when I say I recommend other people do the same. You know, if you're still on that other platform, what are you doing over there? There's a better place that you can be, a far better place that still feels like the community that used to be on the other platform. You know, I think that's one of the things that happened with the other platform. It lost its sense of community, whereas Blue Sky has regained it, and that's very important. I think that's very important. It does make a huge difference. But all in all, yeah. I mean, obviously, I guess I've been a bit more. Think of the word I'm trying to use, because there is a phrase. I think I've been a bit more broad-minded on Blue Sky. I think I've been a bit more sort of accessible, shall we say. And I think, again, that makes a big difference. There's things that I kind of updated through Blue Sky rather than, kept going to the other place. I'm a lot more like myself. I am a lot more myself over there. Not like myself. I am more myself over there, which is a positive. And as I said earlier in the stream, what you see is what you get. You get no pretense. No trying to be someone I'm not. I'm not that sort of person. And I could come on these live streams and give you do what these other sort of live people do, and be all hey, and not that they're like that, but you know what I mean. Whereas I suppose you get the raw essence of myself, the pure essence, because I don't try and sort of be something I'm not. I can't, unless it's scripted and I'm voice acting. Yeah, it's very hard for me to be something I'm not. I think that, again, that goes back to my sort of late teenage, early 20s, when I was in sort of like a friendship where I literally had to be something I wasn't, which very much made me very uncomfortable, I'll be honest. But less said about that, the better. All I will say is that in the end, the friendship broke down, and to be honest, ever since I've gone my own way and found my own path in life, yeah, I've been a lot happier. Let's just put it that way. And maybe life hasn't panned out the way I thought it might or hoped, but that's okay. That's just what happens, really. You just sort of carry on with what you're doing. What you do best, and I think as long as you just live how you want to live, and just be who you want to be. If you're happy, that's the important thing. don't sort of rely on the world, shall we say. Um, you know, if you've got the circle of friends that you know you hold dear, and I do, I definitely have that circle that I hold dear. You know, some very good friends in real life, as I like to call them, my in real life friends, and we all share very similar interests. You know, we are well. Many of my friends are railway enthusiasts like me, so you know that's the big connection. And of course, my best mate, and my best mate and my other mate, we are building a double O gauge model railway layout together, which is, you know, one of the, yeah, absolutely. And I never really had many friends when I was growing up. Usually they were friends because my mum was friends with their mum, or you know, in my teenage years at school I was a loner. I was a definite loner, and I kind of sort of came out of my shell as I was older. You know, I'm 40 now, but it wasn't until sort of my mid-20s onwards that life started falling into place for me, and that's the truth. You know, that is the absolute truth. You know, I met the right people. I sort of became part of the right group of people, shall we say, and I found my place. I honestly found my place, and the sort of individual that had a negative impact on my life, obviously we drifted apart, and I've never really looked back. You know, it kind of just, that sort of friendship became an acquaintanceship, and then it just fizzled out completely. To be honest, their loss, not mine, because you know, they could have had something amazing, you know, but they decided to blow it in the end, and that's not my problem. So, you know, there we go. Such is life. But that was a friendship that was from my teenage years up to my early 30s. So we're talking about sort of the late 1990s to about possibly about 2020. So I was about 36. So, you know, although we lost contact, although we hadn't spoken for at least 4 years prior to that, so, you know, yeah, these things happen. Sometimes it happens, and you just move on. I've moved on. I've got all the right people in my life now, and you know, the right friends and all that, and I'm grateful for them all being here. Absolutely grateful for them all being here. You know, it really does make a big difference. Sorry, what's that coming through? Sorry, my phone is trying to get my attention. Isn't technology wonderful when it behaves itself? But at the moment, it's not behaving itself. So, yeah, and there's other things that sort of, if you know me from Blue Sky, know that I sort of have a list of interests and things, but there's other things that aren't listed, and just want to say, if you're on Blue Sky and you do want to message me, I do keep my messages open, so whatever happens, if you want to chat, drop me a message, I will respond. Obviously I'm of the Greenwich Meridian or Greenwich Mean time zone, Britain, UK, United Kingdom. So if you're one side of the Greenwich Meridian or the other side, chances are I will not respond immediately. I know that American Eastern Standard Time is 5 hours behind me. Obviously Western Europe is an hour, Australia and Australasia I think is about 12 hours ahead, so chances are we might not always be around in the same time zone, which does make things a bit trickier, but I will always respond. It's very important to me that I do. I don't like to leave people hanging if I can help it. Obviously if things are happening and I can't respond immediately, I do at least try to. I may not always acknowledge anyone trying to contact me, but that's on me. That is absolutely on me. I want people to know that I am listening, I am accessible. You can, if you're interested in something and you want to know a bit about what I'm doing, or what interests me, what makes me tick, drop me a message, we'll chat. I'm very open-minded, so there we go. But you can also find me on Instagram and TikTok, and obviously on here on YouTube. So, but I've always got ideas on the go, And if I ever do announce ideas or projects, and again you want to be involved, please drop me a line, because I love to hear from you, and I'd love to include as many people as I can in future projects. I think it would be fantastic to get as many people on board as possible. Anything that can help bring my world to life in different ways and different sorts of facets, if that's the right word, because I think the more storytelling I create from that world, the more exciting it can be. I'm very. I also like to experiment. If you're when I say experiment, I mean I like to take concepts and ideas that other people might not always think about, and try it for myself that way. Yeah. So I think on that note, I've been going for over 1 hour 10 minutes. I think I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week.